What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of the JDW SportsTalkShow. In today's episode, we're getting back into the swing of things. We're going to try to get more videos out. I've been really busy lately, so sorry for the lack of content, but now I'm trying to get back into it. So today we're going to be predicting the Seattle Seahawks schedule, 2021 schedule, going through each opponent, going through each game, giving you my overall thoughts on how they're going to do this season. So let's not spend too much time. So week one, they traveled to Indy. In the season opener for both of these teams, of course, in week one, and we've got a treat for ourselves week one. You have Russell Wilson versus a really darn good defense. You have Carson Wentz versus that, a little bit of a weaker defense over in Seattle. You know, Colts, I think, are a more well-rounded team, if you ask me. Um, I think the Colts are going to come out with the win in this one. I'm taking the Colts because, if the Colts could stop that run game, which I think they will be able to with Buckner, Pay, Adangbo. No, Adangbo won't be playing yet, but, Quiddy Pay, Grover Stewart, those kind of guys. I think they'll be able to stop the run, and of course, the linebackers will help. Um, and then if you make Russ one-dimensional, if you make that offense one-dimensional, yeah, they can still pass it really darn well. Um, but I think that the Colts are a more well-rounded team. I think that the Colts are going to be able to run better. I think they're going to be able to maybe not pass better. If Carson Wentz comes out bad, the Colts may lose this one. But, if he comes out, half decent and manages the game pretty darn well, then I have the Colts come out with a win week one. I have Seattle coming out with that loss, coming out of Indy week one with the loss. Week two, they're at home versus Tennessee Titans. Now, this is another treat. Week two, this is going to be a fun freaking game. Of course, the Titans with Derrick Henry, the newly acquired Julio Jones, and they have A.J. Brown, Ryan Tannehill. If you had, like I just said, Julio Jones, man, that team is a really scary team. That offensive line is a little better than some people give credit for. Ryan Tannehill is a solid quarterback. And I think I'm going to take the Titans in this one as well. I'm going to take the Titans in this one, man. I think the Titans can run the ball. I think it's going to be a shootout game. But I think the Titans will be able to run the ball more effectively and keep that offense off the field, maybe. I'm going to take Titans in this one. I think that defense is actually a little better than Titans. They have a little better pass rush. I think the linebackers are better. I like the Titans. I like Titans safeties more. Yeah, Jamal Adams is really darn good. Bobby Wagner is really darn good. But overall, I think the Titans are better, and I have the Seahawks starting 0-2. Week three, they traveled to Minnesota to play Minnesota Vikings. This is going to be a really good game as well. I'm going to take the Seattle Seahawks in this one. This is a very similar game to the Titans game. They have a decent quarterback that feeds really well off the running game. Is a really good play action quarterback. You have Dalvin Cook, who's a top-tier running back, just like Henry. And they have two really darn good receivers in Thielen and Jefferson, just like the Titans and Julio and A.J. Brown. But I think this one, I think Minnesota's defense is actually a little worse. I don't think they have a good pass rush. Eric Kendricks is getting older. Anthony Barr, he's had injury issues. Not a big fan of the cornerback group. I do like Dantzler. Safeties, Harrison Smith. Other than that, man, I'm going to have the Seahawks coming out in week three with the win. Week four, they traveled to the San Francisco 49ers. The Niners can be a really darn good team this year, man. But they also be a pretty darn mediocre team, pretty darn average team. It could go either way for them. It depends on their quarterback play. If Jimmy G manages the game well, or if he plays like crap, then at least you have Trey Lance to come back on. I do think Trey Lance needs to sit for a year. I think he needs some developing to be done, big time. But nonetheless, he's a very talented dude. I think he's a premium runner. I think he's gonna be a really good rusher. Maybe like a game manager throwing. I think. But he's got to develop, and you never know. We could be very wrong, as I could be very wrong, as I was in Justin Herbert. A lot of people were, and maybe that's one of those situations with me too. So, not the the Niners are like I think they're a bit overrated. I'm not a big fan of their cornerback group. Um, Linebackers are decent. Pass rush is pretty darn good. I like the pass rush. Safeties, Quisky Tart, Jimmy Ward. So they have decent safeties. Their offense line is pretty darn good. Their running backs are decent. Their wide receivers are young, very unproven. The running back, like I said, is okay. The tight end is really darn good. Top two, top three tight end in the league easily. Um, yeah, I think I'm going to take the Seattle Seahawks in this one, though. I think that the Seattle offense is going to outscore the San Francisco 49ers. I think this is maybe a similar game to the Colts. I think the Colts have a little bit of a better defense, so I think that might be the difference in this game. And I have the Seattle Seahawks on a 2-game win streak going into Week 5 at home versus the Los Angeles Chargers in another divisional matchup. I think people are overhyping the Rams a little bit. At first I was on the board. I was on the board with the Rams. I was really happy. I I really thought they were going to be really good, but I kind of calmed that talk down a little bit for me. That's mainly because I think their defense lost some important pieces. The defensive coach and Brandon Staley to the Chargers. That's a huge loss if you ask me. Um, they did lose John Johnson, a really darn good safety. They lost quite a few people, and then if their secondary is really good. The pass rush is decent. I'm not saying it's going to be a bad defense whatsoever. It's going to be a pretty darn good defense, but I'm just saying they did lose a really good defensive coordinator. They lost a really good what is it? I just lost it, but um, John Johnson, really good safety, really good communicator. He ran that defense pretty darn well. He was kind of the engine of that defense, if you ask me. Um, the offense is going to be solid. Matthew Stafford has some really good weapons. The running back core is decent. I'm not a huge fan of the offensive line, in my opinion. It's really aging, and you know, Andrew Whitworth, he's aging, and I don't know how I feel about the offensive line. I know the defense is still going to be solid, but I think this is a game where the Seahawks could lose, but I'm going to have them winning 3 in a row and going 2-0 so far in the division, which could be a little crazy. But I think that the Seahawks could beat the Rams. It's a division game. It's in Seattle. It's a Thursday night game. I think that's the difference there. And then you go to Sunday. They're at the Pittsburgh Steelers. This could be another really good game, man. The Steelers are a decent team. Of course they have really good defense. I think that defense is going to take a step back this year coming up. They really had times last year where they struggled. Um, so yeah, that offense isn't too much to be scared about, man. I'm not a huge Najee Harris fan. I'm not a huge fan of that offensive line. Um, Big Ben is Big Ben. Wide receiver core is decent, but Big Ben's going to use him a little better. I do like the Pat Freiermuth pickup. I think I'm going to go with the Seahawks again, man. I have them going on a pretty darn good winning streak. What, Minnesota, San Fran, LA, the Rams, Pittsburgh, 4-game winning streak. So not doing too bad right now. 4-2, that's a pretty good start. And then I have them going 5-2. At home versus the New Orleans Saints. The Saints are a decent team. They're kind of a wild card team, actually, that I should say. I think the difference here is that Seattle offense. I think the difference is Russell Wilson. I think Russell Wilson is going to make a big difference in this game. Of course, in all the games, of course. I just think that Seattle's going to beat New Orleans. I don't think this is a great matchup for New Orleans. Their defense isn't the greatest. The running back is really darn good. Yeah, the quarterback situation is a bit up in the air, but not. But I think it's going to be Jameis. I think it should be Jameis, which I really like Jameis, but still you got some work to do. I think the Seahawks will be able to outscore the Saints, Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill, whoever it is. Aside Thomas, not really too much there. The offensive line is of course one of the better ones in the league, which can really help tame Jameis or Taysom. But nonetheless, I have the Seattle coming out with this game, whether it's Taysom or Jameis. Week 8, they're at home versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think this is a game where I think this could be a lot better game than some people may think. I think a lot of people are going to look at the Jaguars this year. Oh, they're going to be okay. Which is fair. It's fair. It's very fair. A team that was that really struggled that last year, and now the team is really young. Still learning, young team, young and upcoming team. I think they're ready to be really good now and really beat the Jaguars. I think so. I'm going to give them the win, but this is going to be a really darn good game. Trevor Lawrence versus Russell Wilson. I think that Jaguars defense is a little better than some people may think. Shaquille Griffin, former Seahawk. Um, I think I think that Seattle defense isn't the greatest, but I think they have a little more playmakers on defense. Maybe two big time playmakers and Bobby Wagner, Jamal Adams. Um, this is a tough one. You know what? I'm gonna give the Jaguars the win here. I'm going to give the Jaguars a win here. I'm going to take them over the upset over Seattle. I guarantee you this is going to be a game where Seattle's favored. Probably going to be, but I'm going to take Jacksonville. I think this is a game that Jacksonville wins. I think they beat Seattle. It's going to be a really darn good game. And, I think this is when Trevor Lawrence gets one of his signature wins, I think this is going to be a good game, but I'm going to take Jacksonville in the upset. Week 9 is bye week, middle of the week bye week, decent bye week. Week 10, they travel to Green Bay. The Packers are, a weird team right now, with the whole Aaron Rodgers thing and now the Devontae Adams thing now. There's a lot going on over there. With Aaron Rodgers, they're going to be NFC contenders. That's of course. Without him and without Devontae Adams, man, this team may not even make the playoffs. I think they have a solid roster, if you ask me. Poor Aaron Jones, man. He probably thought that they were going to be like, be a darn good trio there. Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Jones. That's pretty good. That's a pretty darn good trio, if you ask me. Poor Aaron Jones. He just signed that cheap contract. I mean, not really cheap, but cheap for what people thought he was going to get to stay with the team with Rodgers and Adams and to keep the crew together. And now both of those other guys are, they might be leaving. I honestly think my honest thoughts are, I think Rodgers is going to stay. I think Adams is going to stay, and that's what I'm going off of here. So I'm going to give Green Bay the win over Seattle. I think that Green Bay defense is going to be enough to at least limit Russell Wilson and that Seahawks team. Yeah, I have Green Bay in that game, and I think that Green Bay offense will be fine against that Seattle defense. I think that's Week 11, they're at home versus Arizona Cardinals. This is another divisional matchup. This can be a really good game. Since Seattle is home, I'm gonna give this to Seattle. I might have every team splitting with each other in this division. I'm still going at it, but I think Arizona is a team that I don't think they're gonna be able to run very well. They have some things that they need to work on. I'm not a big fan of the offensive line. I do like the receiver core. The receiver core is nice. Man, I'm not as high on them as other people are, but I'm going to take Arizona in this game. I think they split divisional game. I think they split. Week 12, Seattle travels to Washington, going across the country kind of sucks. But you got to do what you got to do. I think that Washington front is really going to make Russell Wilson run around a lot back there. And I think that's going to be difference. I'm going to take Washington in this one, man. So I have the Seahawks going on a skid right now. I think that Washington front is going to get to the Seahawks. I think it's going to get to Russ. I think he's going to struggle to get the ball to his weapons a bit. So I don't think they're going to be able to run very well against that Washington front. Man, I really like this Washington team, and I don't like this matchup for the Seattle Seahawks. Week 13, they travel home to play the San Francisco 49ers at home. I'm going to take the Seahawks to sweep the Niners. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe that will be a sweep, but I think it could go either way. I think they could both split. I think they could split, but I'm gonna take Seattle in the sweep. I'm just not as high in San Fran as a lot of other people are. Yeah, their offense line is pretty darn good. They can run the ball. The other defense is, their defense line is pretty darn good. But I just think this is one of those situations where Seattle, even though they're even though San Fran may be the better balanced team, but I think Seattle's it's just gonna be one of those weird seasons with that weird sweep. Week 14 at the Houston Texans. I'm gonna take the Seattle Seahawks in this one. I'm not a big fan of the Texans team. I don't think there's really too much there. I'm not gonna talk about that one too much. Week 15 at the Los Angeles Chargers. No, Rams. Like I talked about earlier, the Rams are a pretty darn good team. But I'm going to take the Rams the second time around. I think the Seahawks and the Rams are going to split. I think most of this division's going to split. Maybe they do split the San Fran games. I could see it. Yeah, I have Seattle. No, I have the Rams winning the second game at home at 4:25 p.m. Week 16, they're at home versus the Chicago Bears, a team that was in the market for possibly trading for Russell Wilson. I don't think he was going to be traded at all. I don't think, I just don't see. I just didn't see it. As we saw when Russ came out, he never said he was mad. The social media blows everything out of proportion. Um, I think that was a big fiasco there that was unnecessary, but made the offseason a whole lot more interesting, didn't it? So yeah, good defense. The offense, not a big fan of. I think that offense line could get better. I really do like the running back and stuff. The run game. I think this Bears team is a team that wants to run the heck out of the ball. That wants to run the heck out of that darn ball, and that's what they're gonna do. And I think you're going to need to pass it at some point versus the Seattle Seahawks. I think that team, even though you have one of the better defenses in the league, I think this is a defense that could take a little bit of a step back. But at the same time, at times you also have to be able to keep up with offenses, with some really good offenses in the NFL. It's just how the NFL works. So I'm going to have the Seattle Seahawks at home versus the Chicago Bears. Week 17, they're at home versus the Detroit Lions. I'm going to give the Seahawks this win as well. I think the Seahawks are going to do fine versus the Lions. I'm not a big fan of the Lions team this year. I think they're a little better than some people may think. Is this an upset that could happen? Maybe. I think it's more possible than some people may think. I really like that offensive line. Aside of that, yeah, there's not too much. If Jared Goff has one of those games where he goes off versus, the Seahawks, his like a former rival, who knows? But I'm gonna take Seattle at home versus Detroit. Let's not overthink it too much, but I think this is gonna be a game to watch out for. Week 18, they're at the Arizona Cardinals. What did I give What did I give the first matchup? I don't remember what I gave the first matchup. I think I gave it to the Seahawks. So this one I'm gonna give to Arizona. I think they're gonna split either way. Whatever. Seattle wins at home. Arizona wins at home. Whatever. So yeah, I have the Seahawks doing decent. I have them losing to the Colts, beating the Titans. No, losing to the Titans, beating Minnesota, beating San Fran, beating the Rams. Splitting the Rams. Splitting with the Cardinals, losing to Green Bay, beating Houston, Washington, losing to Washington, beating New Orleans, beating Jacksonville, Pittsburgh, Detroit, Chicago. I had them beaten. So, I have the record sitting at something like around 10, 11 wins. I think that's fair. They have a really good offense, really potent offense. They have to get that that running game going. I will give them credit for some things they did do on the offensive line. They did make some improvements. They did do some things. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see what they have in store. So I guess we'll go. I guess we'll see. Go Hawks. And as always, I thank you guys for tuning in to the JDW Sports Talk Show. As always, I will catch you guys next time.